What's going on, everybody? If you can like the video, I appreciate it. We're only at 31 likes, so if we can get that to 100 before we start, that would be fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Nico, Mark, Algo Trading, Businessman Harris, what's up? Ionis, yeah, I changed the title. Conway, Will, what's up? Trader, Skip, Bree, Sherbert, Evelyn, good morning. Mohammed, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Crazy Yeti, what's up? Just real quick, if you can like the video if you haven't already. Tom, good morning. Martin. Just takes 2 seconds so you can just like the video. What's up, Robbie? Samuel, Grace. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Fernando, what's up? What's up? Just about 20 more likes, and then we'll probably get this thing started. I'm in no rush to do anything today. It's a Monday, as I discussed. If you were with me yesterday, you understand what the protocol for the week is and what we're looking at. We'll see what we can do today. I don't really know. It's a Monday. How was my weekend? My weekend was good. Thank you for asking. Cool, Bree? Alright, we're at 100 likes, so at least we got that there. Doesn't mean to stop liking the video. Like, I have to keep asking for it. I know it is annoying, but there's only a way to keep the stream up and running and moving towards more viewers. I've kind of plateaued, so we're going to see this week if I can push for more. We'll see what we can do. I'm going to change to the charts here. And let me know if you can see it. I appreciate it, Oki. Thank you. Good to see you in here. Damn it. I missed it. I missed an oil entry. I missed entries on an asset class that I don't trade. Damn it. People are funny, man. Way to start the week. Alright. Good to hear, Tom. I know it wasn't you. We discussed yesterday on the weekly forecast that we're on a new monthly candle that started Friday, so I'm trying to figure out where that wants to end up leading. It's too little of time and too early in the month to determine that, but I always like to look at power 3, look at, okay, where could we potentially expand? Where would I want the manipulation to happen? Where would I want certain factors to play out? This week is NFP week, so typically the protocol for that is trading Monday through Wednesday, taking Thursday and Friday off. So today is a typical, like, let's say Mondays usually I'm not trading it in general, especially with no news event drivers, but we do have NFP this week, so typically on an NFP week you want to push on a Monday. You don't want to push, it's the wrong word I'm looking for, but you at least want to be looking for a setup on a Monday. If things are there, if they're not, then don't push it. There's no reason. But you want to get the majority of the week done by Wednesday. If you can, then you're sitting out Thursday and Friday. To one of your questions, yes, I'll still be live streaming, but I'm not going to be trading. So that's what really we want to do this week in the protocol. You're looking at the economic calendar. Today we don't have any news event drivers, so you have to look at that as well. Factor that into your trading. Yeah, so let's dig down into a weekly. I mean, if you watched the video yesterday, you're pretty caught up on what I'm looking at. Nothing changed overnight. Nothing has moved. So we'll see this week. I was kind of anticipating maybe today we get lower prices into Tuesday/Wednesday, sets a low of the week, into probably, if we can dig down into this higher time frame order block here, and then we expand higher throughout the rest of the week, very well could be a possibility. Daily time frame, I was stating how I'm kind of predicting that today is going to create some type of fair value gap. So I'm looking at the day and going, okay, well, I don't see this just collapsing or going higher. To me, it's one of the days where it's going to create a fair value gap in here, and then Tuesday/Wednesday we dig down into that. So you have to anticipate those type of days, and if you're anticipating that type of day, then it's probably not going to be a large range day today. Let's dig into the 4-hour. Same thing, inefficiency here. So we have a few inefficiencies beneath us on the 1-hour. Inefficiency here after running buy side. If you look at the highs, there is some bearish SMT in there, so let's study that. And if you're in a rush to do something on a Monday, right off of a weekend, right off of everybody, trying to jump back into the market, to me, you have a very amateur, immature mindset when it comes to trading. I'm in no rush to do anything. Every day I say this. And it's like people have a short-term memory. Like they forget that what happened last week and the things that I do. Because I come into a Monday and I'm not in a rush to do anything because that's how I maintain profitability. I do it every single day. I come into the market and I am in no rush to do anything at all. Most of you are so eager to push a button, to do something, looking at everything possible. You have to be willing to understand that you need to trust your patience. You need to trust time. The silver bullet every single day, for the most part, has a entry. You need to be willing to trust that and trust the model. And when you sit down in it open, you're not so eager to push a button. You're not so eager to look at every single micro movement and be so influenced by it. It's the number one thing I could recommend to all of you is to just chill out. When I look at the chat and when I look at people's comments, all it really screams to me is that you're impatient, right? And I'm just trying to lend that to all of you because it's a mistake that I made as well. I don't know how I got on the topic, to be honest with you. I'm kind of just ranting, but that's just what I'm looking at on Monday. I just see the overall sentiment. So buy stops have been ran here. And this could not mean anything. This is what I mean. When I'm marking stuff out, none of this really means anything. It could lead to something. It could mean something. But just because we ran buy stops and just because there's bearish SMT, when you're rolling into a Monday, it's the same thing as like having an economic news driver event. Like anything can happen to me, at least. When you're rolling into a Monday off the open, just because of the prior information, I think a lot of things can happen. It can give you some type of information. It can lend you something, but I'm very open to anything. And I know for some people that's not enough, but it's the way that I personally work. We have a new week opening gap here, so just kind of mark that out. We rolled up above it, rolled back beneath it. So if we close beneath it, you could treat it as some type of resistance, a ceiling, right? What up, X? I don't know. Casper. If you're just tuning in, I'd appreciate if you like the video. There's 400 of you in here and 144 likes, so if you can like the video, I'd appreciate it. Can I tell the difference between Six Sister and SMT? Well, with Six Sister, you're always going to have an SMT, but you have to be able to be the analyst and determine if that's really SMT or if it's actually wanting to get in line with it, if it's just lagging behind it. That's you as the analyst, you have to be able to determine that. So if you look at ES, YM, and NQ, and you observe the highs, and you observe specifically on YM, YM's really It's really decoupled away from it, but if you just look at the correlation between ES and NQ, ES has failed to make a higher high, while NQ made a higher high overnight. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, NQ ran above its high, and ES failed to make that. So that is a bearish SMT alongside. You have YM really decoupled away from it. So I would lean on the idea, as I stated, I'd be looking for lower prices off today. Also, not just due to bearish SMT, we're looking at it overall. Okay, well, even if this thing is overall bullish, the narrative is bullish. If this thing wants to continue higher, it probably would need some type of retracement lower before going higher, right? That makes sense. So I'm not trying to catch a top in here, but if I have confluences telling me that price is more than likely going to retrace before, excuse me, before expanding higher, then I'll lean with that idea. So even though narrative, right, we go back to that overall statement, narrative on higher time frame, the macros, everything is at least bullish. But if you know, working within the narrative, narratives have retracements. Even though if we're in a bullish narrative, it's going to have some type of retracement. So you can still work within it. If I'm understanding that I need a retracement at one point or the other, then I could still be willing to short it, even though the narrative is bullish. Does that make sense? It's just depending on today, I don't know how far the retracement is going to go. That's why countering the narrative can be a little less probable, because I don't know how far we're going to reach into. We could reach into a discount, we could not. As far as where equilibrium and the dealing range and where we sit from this low all the way up to the dealing range high overnight, equilibrium sitting here. We could be willing to trace into that. That could be an option, but I'd have to see with evidence where we really want to get to. And this is very typical if you study the correlation between the three right now. They're all decoupled. Like 90% of the time on a Monday open, all three of them are completely separated. It's pretty common for that to happen. Like if you look at YM's moving higher, NQ's dropped lower, and ES is stagnant in the middle. That's a pretty common characteristic on a Monday, because they're all pretty separate away from each other. Millen, that sounds nice. I would like to be in my bed. I'm quite tired today, man. Tape reading today, more than likely. I mean, on a Monday, I'm not eager to do a lot of things. I'm very weary, and that's for a multitude of reasons, right? You don't want to be spending mental capital / your real capital on a Monday, because you don't want to start out the week, trying to dig yourself out of a hole, especially with your mental capital. You screw that up on a Monday, you're screwed for the rest of the week. I don't care what anybody else says. It's hard to get that back. It's hard to reset yourself, especially throughout the week when you're in a live moving market. You're angry, you're pissed off, you made mistakes, and you're going to carry that energy throughout the rest of the week. So I'm very careful, I'm diligent on a Monday, unless I see something where I'm like, okay, that's clear-sided evidence, easy, then I'll pick my shot. But if not, then I don't do anything. I know I have 4 days left of the week, and I honestly only need 1 to 2 days. As far as the RTH gap, let me look at that. I don't think there is any. Yeah, it's very minor, which is interesting. It's pretty funny. That happens a lot on a Monday, where this is the close of Friday, and this is the open of today. So, really nothing you can work with as far as the RTH gap. You can dig down into some lower time frames. That is what I'm missing. I'm missing my music. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate it if you like the video. Share it if you can. I'm trying to get to 9,000 subscribers and Twitter followers. I think I'm 3 away on Twitter. So if you're not, I would appreciate it. It is such a struggle for me to grow on Twitter, man. It is ridiculous. question on new week opening gap. If your model appeared your bias and market structure was bullish, and you're trading up in the current new week opening gap, would you still go long on that? It just depends. It's a situational approach. New week opening gaps, you're utilizing it with whatever is in confluence. Like if there's a model, and especially when you have a large new week opening gap in terms of, I guess, the range of it. If there's a model, like let's say I have my fair value gap, I have my multiplier that forms within it, the bias is bullish, then you're just utilizing that as an extra confluence. It's like a extra supported pad, right? Playing football, whatever it is, you have, an extra layer of padding. It helps you. But it's not an end-all be-all, right? Good question. Do you look for S&T on both 3 pairs or just NQ and ES? I compare for the most part intraday ES and NQ, but YM can lend me support, especially on like a higher time frame switch. It can lend you some support in terms of your bias or narrative. JP trading, it's situational. Ballerino, awesome. Yeah, I put a lot of effort and time into that beginner's course, and surprisingly, it does not have the views I thought it would, but it's all right. I'm one short to 9K on Twitter. Probably, I mean. Oh, I hit 9,000. Cool. Nice. I'm now famous. ICT said SMT is only useful if we have bias. Yeah, I mean, and SMT is a confluence. It's tipping its hand to you before a move unfolds, and that's why you just utilize it as a confluence. You look at it with a already preconceiving idea, and if it confirms to you that idea, then yes. Sometimes it's going to tip the hand to you before the move unfolds, and then you look at it and go, okay, well, that confirms the move I was looking at. Like, if I was to go short today, I would have the idea that we had SMT in here. It was already tipping its hand to me before we moved into the open that we could possibly see lower prices. Again, things could change. This thing could whip higher. That's why I wait for time. Time is the most important factor. You go back to core content, month 1, lessons 1. What are the elements to a trade idea? You're looking at time first. Especially on a Monday, I'm not eager to do anything within the first 30 minutes, especially within the first 30 minutes on a Monday. I'm letting time play out. I'm letting information come in. Let time do the work for you. Majority of the time, by 30 minutes into the session, the manipulation has already unfolded, and if you miss some part of the move, I mean, who really cares? You're following rules, you're following discipline. Most of you are so fearful of missing moves. I understand it, but I've tried to lend all of you that we have so many tools. We have so many ways to get into this market. I don't ever fear missing anything. Like, if something moves off without me, then you know what, man, it is what it is. Majority of the time, you can probably enter into the market, especially on these very lower time frames. Like, if you're somebody who can go into a second chart, there's no reason to ever miss an entry, or not, or at least fear missing an entry. Do you use quant hours as a trade copier? Yes, I do. Art, first time here. Awesome. Good to see that. RSI, I mean, Ben, we've talked about this last week. I don't believe in RSI. I think it's an indicator that lags behind price. I can see SMT. I can see whether something's overbought, oversold due to SMT, and I can see it in terms of premium or discount. RSI is a lagging indicator. I would encourage you to study SMT. I would encourage you to look at that over RSI. How does the higher time frame candle help you? To be honest with you, I don't even. I mean, if I am utilizing it, I'm looking at, let's say, the daily candle. If I'm, buying at the low of the day, I'm seeing how far is it moving away from the low of the day. It's, to me, I get so many questions on the indicator. I forget that it's even on the screen. Like, it's just something that I have on the screen. I think you will. Yeah, I mean, if there's newer people that are coming to the stream and you've been here for a while, you understand the same questions that happen. Just fine. Just feel free to answer it. Stochastic? Yeah, no. I don't need any indicators. The think that the market's just going to give you an indicator. Think about that, dude. Like, I get it. I've traded indicators. I've traded that type of style. It's once you get out of that mindset, it's like, okay, the market is an indicator of itself. I don't need a third-party indicator to tell me if something's overbought, oversold. That's why intermarket relationships work. They're all correlated. Nice stream, bro. Just started watching you. Cool. Awesome to hear. I'm sure there's some new people over the weekend that, due to my tweets, they're probably here. I'm probably looking for signals, but they'll learn real quick. You're here to learn. You're going to learn today. I'll just show you the correlation between ES, YM, and NQ. It's what you would call currently decoupled. If you're ever in a decoupled market, or your asset classes are decoupled away from each other, that's a red flag. That's not a good sign for you. That's not something you should be willing to push inside of an environment where things are decoupled. Again, what's the time? You have time of day, you have time of week, you have time of month, you have time of year. I'm looking at all these factors. What's the time of the week? What's the time of the day? Time of the session? Well, I'm still not even in the silver bullet. So if you're new here, I don't trade until the silver bullet. That's for a particular reason, because I think the first 30-minute window is highly manipulated, especially on a Monday. Again, time of day. What's the time of the week? We're on a Monday. No news event drivers. It's very, very key that you're very cautious on a Monday within the first 30-minute window. New to the channel, I'm most interested in the unicorn model. What do you primarily use? I use a bunch of different models. I have a video on my channel that covers my models, but yeah, a model it's just a model. There's so many things that go into a model and into an entry pattern and into a style that I can't encapsulate it inside of one sentence, one video. You have to sit with me for a long time. Not a long time, but at least a few weeks to really understand what I do. Do I think ICT is better? Yeah, I saw that video. I thought it was completely disrespectful. Again, if you've noticed, I'm... I might hold my tongue. I think that video was disgusting, to be honest with you. Somebody that's made a lot of money off of ICT's name being a marketer, and then he goes around saying that he's a better marketer than a trader. People have no backbone in this industry. All these gurus, man, it's just disgusting. Somebody that gave you the ability to learn these concepts, and you're gonna do a video for clicks and views and use his name. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, the dude's a complete scammer, dude. If you notice, I'm not clicked up with anybody in this space. I think they're all scammers. I don't believe in any of these people. Like I think Jade Cap and maybe a few other people are legit. Besides that, I don't trust anybody. If you notice, nobody shouts me out. Nobody talks to me. Why? Because if you dig deep enough, you'll figure out why. Because I'm not going to go into it. Let's stay positive today. Dodgy job. Yeah, okay. Sure. Dodgy's a fucking... I gotta keep my mouth shut. Anyways. Inversion here that we reacted off of dropped lower, bear shorter block. Sell side, if you look at ES, a little bit decoupled. I mean, yeah, Francis. Again, I've been truthful with all of you. I'm going to start a paid group, and I don't see anything wrong with it. If you have legitimate proof that you can trade. I mean, I've sat down for the last 2 months. I've traded live in front of all of you with one losing week. I've shown track record to match it. So, I mean, if you have an issue with it, I mean, again, that's your issue. I mean, I've worked my ass off to be able to acquire the skill set, and if you're able to learn from me, I don't see an issue charging with it. It's only an issue if these people don't actually know what they're doing, and they market around that idea to fool you and manipulate you. Bearish breaker in here. What'd you say, Tom? You find lo-fi music? Yeah, I mean, that's primarily what I listen to. I don't listen to anything with like words. Like right now I'm playing, I could drop in the chat, but I'll switch from every now and again to what I'm listening to. Most part it's the same theme. That's what I'm listening to currently. So if you observe, NQ's made the lower low. Well, ES is still relatively far away from its low. So there is a crack in the correlation. If things are decoupled, I'm really not trying to touch the market. Why is this a breaker and not a mitigation block? Well, if you're looking at like a 5-minute time frame, it's a little bit easier. What is this pattern here? You have a low, a high, a lower low, then a higher high. That is a breaker. If it's just simply a continuation like this, that's a mitigation. Hopefully that helped your question, Blue. Depends what time. It depends what time frame you're looking at. Mitigation, I could see why you could look at this as a mitigation on a 15-minute. You go down to a 5-minute, structure is different. I'm going to take a look at dollar index, but I mean, to be honest, I haven't even looked at it today because yesterday there was really nothing with it that was really moving significantly. I mean, it's moving off lower. It would need to move significantly. Dollar index, even though it is inverse correlated, the only time I'm utilizing it is if dollar index is really moving, like in a very volatile way, because otherwise it's not going to have that big of an influence or impact. What money management strategy do you suggest for prop firm challenges and the prop firm live account first time here? Thank you. I mean, on challenge is up to you and what you want to do. I would suggest at least pushing a little bit heavier and trying to get it done quicker, because you're not just, I mean, time is money. You're spending a lot of time on it. But if you don't have the skill set already to understand what to do in a live account, I mean, regardless if you pass the challenge or not, you're not going to be able to operate within a live market or live, account. So I would just suggest is if you have data that you can operate in a live account, I mean, just try to push the challenge a little bit quicker. You're going to have to up your risks. You might have to risk blowing the challenge and risking money, but I mean, I've done it plenty of times. It's part of the blowing a challenge has, to me, it's no indication whether you're a good or bad trader. It really isn't. It's only how you operate inside of a live environment. We'll be moving over to the June contract here shortly. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate if you like the video. There's 700, almost 800 of you in here and 200 likes. So I appreciate if you'd like the video. Subscribe if you're not already. As far as mitigation and breaker, I mean, it's still the same theory, the same concept, right? I mean, they just have different patterns to them. Again, I mean, what would keep me at bay from doing anything currently? Well, time. I'm looking at time. B, if you're looking at correlation, if you have an SMT chart up, look at YM, look at ES, and look at NQ. They're all doing something differently. So that's what, a decoupled market. If you're in a decoupled market and things are out of sync with each other, then you don't really want to be pushing inside of that environment, because you would have basically an SMT on both sides. And if things are not in sync with each other, then it's telling you something. It's a red flag. I think ES is much cleaner. It's your personal opinion. Can you tell us a little bit about your trading journey, when you started, and also how you started learning ICT? I mean, in short, I started trading 6 years ago. When I was in college, I found out about trading through a multi-level marketing company, and I ended up dropping out of college from there. Was trading retail concepts for about 2 years until I found ICT and joined his private mentorship, and then from there it was history. I've been trading for 6 years now, so been with ICT for 4. It's the reason why a lot of people, not to boast or brag, when they come to my stream, they learn from me. They understand that there's a difference between a lot of these other people and what I talk about, because we could all know what a fair value gap is. We all know what an order block is, premium, discount, whatever it is, but I've spent a lot of time with these concepts. Inspirational story. I'm just too tired to really tell the whole thing, and I don't. Maybe at a later point in time, I would tell the full story. There's a lot of, obviously, details I'm missing. I really don't want to talk about influencers, man. Why don't I like Dodgy? Well, I mean, again, if somebody doesn't live trade in front of you, and I'm sure he does in some private group or whatever, I just don't trust marketers, man. I don't trust content that is very clickbaity. Just don't get me started, man. Where's the track record? Where is it? There is none. How long did it take to become profitable? Probably about 4 years, 4.5 years. And I mean, profitability, it may come in waves. Like I've talked about this before, and I made a tweet over the weekend, is I wanted all of you to sit down to really think about what profitability looks like and what that really means to you, because a lot of people's visions are skewed. Like, profitability can look a lot of different ways. It can be very various. So profitability may look like losing 2-3 days out of the week, and then you have 1-2 days that make up for it because your risk management, your risk reward, those things are set in place. It may look like losing 2 to 3 weeks out of the month, and then that last week you're able to make back that money due to risk management, due to your plan, your strategy. It may look like losing 2 to 3 months out of the year. So losing, to me, again, a lot of people look at profitability as if you have to be winning every single day, you have to be winning every single week. That's not true at all. You have to look at a long-term time frame. You have to look at what does profitability really look like. Most of you don't really know what it looks like because nobody really talks about it, but most of the time it's losing a lot. I mean, even look at me last week. I lost 2 days out of the week, but yet still ended up profitable. So we're moving into the silver bullet. I mean, I'm not going to be touching anything currently, but as we move into it, I may start seeing what price is doing. Yeah, I'll go trade. I mean, if you're a newer student, it's hard for you to see that. It's hard for you to understand what I'm talking about when I talk about other influencers. And I'm not trying to bring others down. I'm trying to open up a lot of people's eyes. I'm trying to help you. But it seems like I'm hating or I'm being disrespectful, but I'm not. As you mature into these concepts and into this trading world, you're going to understand what I'm saying. I've been through a lot of people scamming me. I'm also very seasoned inside of the community. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people scam others, rise and fall with their popularity. I mean, I've seen a lot. And as you mature through the years, you'll probably resonate more with what I'm saying. And you'll probably be like, wow, he was speaking the truth the whole time. Right now, it may not seem like that. But it is what it is. Oki, yeah, iMarket's live. If you're an OG, you know what that is. I mean, they're probably still a thing. Which, I mean, I'm grateful for it, because if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't know what trading is, to be honest with you. Hey man, that's a good question. I mean, I do. It is a start. It is a macro, but sometimes that macro, it's not really going to start until that silver bullet hits. And if there's something that's not super clean, then I'm not going to participate within that macro. CJ had all the influences. I know a lot of people are this. Wait, I'm getting like confused. You're the only person I've seen mark the shit up like I see. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've spent close to 5 years with these concepts. There's a difference, man. And I'm not really trying to be braggadocious. It's just trying to get the point across to a lot of you. I'm trying to help a lot of you. I'm really trying to protect a lot of you from scammers, from people that really are actually predators. That, you know, they're wolves in sheep clothing, and it's hard to spot that if you're a newer student. You can't see that. It's really, really difficult. So in here, again, if something's really out of sync with each other, like ES, look at where ES is trading compared to NQ, and look at where YM's trading compared to NQ and ES. They're all separated. So even though we've made a new low in here, would I want to be trying to push a short in here? No. Would I be trying to push a long? No. I need them to start moving in sync with each other. Otherwise, I'm not going to touch the market, especially ES. So if NQ started to move higher, ES started to move higher, then those start to move in sync. That might tip its hand to something. If ES started to drop off, NQ started to drop off more, okay, well, those are in sync. I've talked about this before too last week. I mean, a lot. I know there's a lot. I can just tell, like, through the chat, there's so many questions in here that are, like, newer questions. Sometimes price isn't doing anything. Like, every single micro movement it doesn't really have a significance behind it. It may just be distorting time. So you have to understand that as well. Sometimes price is just distorting time, meaning it's just printing. It doesn't really have any significance behind it. So every single movement, you shouldn't be looking at it going, oh, wow, that's something I gotta, it's telling me something. Sometimes it's telling you nothing. Do I use standard deviations? Not really. Six sister apply here. I mean, which way? Because you could see it as if, ES is leading it, and we would want to go long in NQ, or NQ is leading it. So that's just decoupled currently. To me, it's decoupled. It really, until things start to move in sync, I really wouldn't want to participate in anything. I'm an ICT charter, yes. Have I escaped the matrix? Sure. I hate that word. CJ, when did you switch from FX to futures? If you ever traded, I traded FX for 3.5, 4 years. How did you beat the itch to jump in when you believe the market is going somewhere? I mean, how should I answer this? It's just time and experience. I mean, I know what I'm waiting for. I know what my model is, and nor do I get everything correct all the time. Like, to the meaning of that question sort of shouts, like, I know you don't mean this, but perfectionist mindset. Like, how do I know when not to take a loss? Well, sometimes you just can't. There's just times where you can't unsee a loss. Sometimes there's something where you're never going to be able to miss that loss, be able to, not take the trade. So it's part of trading. There's so many variables at play that you're just going to have to eat a loss sometimes, and it just is what it is. And maybe not sometimes, it may be a lot. Has there been any charter members you've known that did not come up? Yeah, plenty, thousands. Just because you paid for information doesn't mean anything. You have to be willing to put in the work. I'm sure 1% of people came out of that profitable, and I'm sure there's plenty of others who are still working towards it. Why is my mic volume low? You might have to adjust it personally. Yeah, I know, Tom. Again, I mean, you have to anticipate that. I mean, be careful what you wish for. I wish for obviously more viewers, but that comes with more weird questions and weird comments. So I don't know why my height would matter. I've answered that before on stream, but my bias is fluid. Yeah, Will. Algo trading, you're not wrong. Again, nobody else is going to tell you. There's no other influencer going to tell you. I'm straight up with all of you. I'm so transparent. I've made $500 off of affiliate this last month. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just simply business. I mean, you save money, but I also make money off of affiliate. It is crazy. You make a lot of money from affiliates, and I mean, obviously mentorships and stuff like that. You make a lot of money. So no other influencer is going to tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. There's not a single person that's going to tell you how much they make off affiliate. Shahir, I have trouble stopping when I'm already down for the day. Yeah, I mean, that has to go into the emotion of tilting and revenge trading, which I've dealt with it a lot. It was probably the biggest crutch, the biggest hurdle in my trading I had to overcome. And I still fight with it. I mean, it doesn't come out really rarely ever, but when it did, I mean, it would happen almost every single week where I'd be revenge trading, I'd be tilted, I'd be pissed off. And you have to be willing to go into that emotion. I recommend The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tindler. That book really helped me solve a lot of the issues. I mean, having a third party, if your broker allows that, to have a third party drawdown limiter, you set your daily loss limit for the day. That's going to be the number one factor. Because if you can't change, like let's say it's set for the day, as soon as you lose X amount of money, like how much your threshold is, let's say you want to lose 250 bucks, and you lose that, your broker locks you out of the account. You can't do anything else. So it's the biggest thing is to have that there in place. I mean, it may suck in the moment. You're like, damn, dude, I want to keep trading. I want to make this money back. But in the end, you're probably going to do more damage. You're going to end up with more loss, and you're going to be happy that you just stayed with that small little paper cut and come back the next day. It's the biggest thing that you could really do for yourself. Will, you know better. "2020 charter here, still building profitability, switching models back and forth, but only with your live sessions realize that basically focusing on the last portion of the best model for me." Awesome, love to hear that, brother. And everybody's time is different when they arrive. Nobody's time is the same. It may take a whole bunch of different time sets and variables for somebody to arrive to their profitability. And again, profitability doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up one morning and boom, there it is, you're profitable. You're going to see it over a span of months, and it may take, you may move in and out of it. You may be profitable for a couple months and then go into a losing month or a couple losing months, then move back into it. At least that's how it was for me. I mean, you go from losing to break even to semi-profitability. You kind of just stay in that little swing, and then you can move into consistently profitable, and that may look different for each of you. That's what I talked about on Twitter over the weekend. Is it's all unique. Everybody's profitability quotation and how it looks for them is unique. It's never the same. It's not just rolling in money and you're winning every single day. It's going to look different. It's all unique. I'm not particularly looking for anything currently. I mean, yeah, sometimes to me, when price is moving, it's really not doing anything. Now that I can see that, well, ES has made some relative equal highs, but it would really need to start moving in sync with NQ in order for me to trust NQ moving lower. DXY giving small, but yeah, still it's very little movement. A lot of you are looking at like a 15, 5-minute time frame. I talked about this yesterday. You need a significant amount of movement on dollar index to be able to utilize it. Rodrigo, I'll trade S&P here and there, very rarely, as the sixth sister, but I mainly stick with NQ. Algo trading, yeah, I mean, all traders on YouTube are marketers, to be honest, yeah. But again, I'm providing value. It's just an exchange. It's business. If I'm helping you, especially for free for months on end, and then you're willing to pay for it, I don't see any harm in it. Yeah, Tom, it's all different for everybody, you know. Thoughts on relying on prop firms to build your own capital fast, like trading a couple million in prop firms accounts? Yeah, I think it's definitely the best route. Using other people's money is it's always the best option, because even if you had $1 million liquid in your own bank account, you would have to take that money out and put that into a trading account. And now you no longer really have a million liquid. I mean, you have to utilize that, right? So, but if I was able to have $1 million liquid in my own bank account and then utilize $1 million of somebody else's money, that's the best option. Lots of people against prop firm, yeah, they have pros and cons. Everybody's different. You have to understand that trading is a personalized experience. What works for somebody else is not going to work for you, and vice versa. So you really got to figure out what works for you. And that's just through trial and error. If you don't like prop firms, it doesn't work for you, then just move into a live account. Just slowly build that. I mean, even if you were in a position here, would this be fun? Would this be a lot of fun to be a part of? Probably not. I know I wouldn't want to be a part of it. Spending your mental capital tokens, just trading in really nothing currently. And it's not like I didn't anticipate this. I understand on a Monday, probably going to get this price action. D. Jarrell, what's going on? New here? Are you live every day? Yes, sir. Yeah, Thomas is usually where I just go on rants. I mean, if you noticed, I'm constantly going back to higher time frames, constantly referring back to certain things. Julian, I mean, it's just a Monday with no economic news driver events. You're moving off of a day where you had, what's the profile? If you've had a large range day, what's the next day you have to anticipate? Small, large range consolidational days. So you have these things stacked. It's the same thing as last week if you sat with me. If you're rolling off of a Friday where it was very large in expansion, I mean, look at where Friday, what we did. We expanded a lot. And you're rolling into a Monday with no news event drivers, the profile is probably going to be consolidation. So every single micro movement, everything that's happening, I'm not engaging with it like, wow, I need to be looking at price. I'm very weary of what price is doing. There's a lot of factors that roll into a Monday, especially what we just talked about. So for most of you, setting out of a Monday is going to be the best option you could possibly do. I'm telling you that right now. Like most people last week when I sat out on Monday and Tuesday and I didn't do anything, they were very confused. They always want to be doing something. But guess what? I protected myself. I protected capital. I didn't spend anything the first 2 days of the week when price was really doing nothing in my eyes. And that's how I maintain profitability. The best thing you could possibly do for yourself is figure out days where you know when not to trade. You know when things are not in your favor. Versus knowing an entry pattern and knowing when to enter the market. I know when not to enter into the market way more than I know when to enter in the market. You see how that's a big distinguish? It's a big difference. I know when not to do something the most versus when to know when to do something. And I mean, we talked about this yesterday, is that's part of patience and being able to trust yourself. And if you're newer, you're not able to do that. You don't know when not to do something. You don't know when to trust yourself. And I get it, because you don't have enough information. You don't have enough feedback. And that's through trial and error and figuring that out, and, you know, what to wait for, what not to wait for. Me want signal. John, yeah, it's he talked about it. He said if one thing I could write a book about is when not to trade. But it's hard to encapsulate that. There's certain signatures and price and things we just talked about in here where you know when not to trade, but experience is going to really do that to you. Is, all right, this doesn't look right to me. These factors are not lining up. But mainly, if you look at the economic calendar, the time of day, the time of week, the time in the session, what happened the day before, a lot of those things are telling you what you should expect for that day. Exactly, Tom. You hit it on the head. Well, Abraham, that's the thing, right? That is, that's unique, but it's a really good question, because I mean, you didn't ask it, but inside of your question is an answer. So inside of days where it's low probability, I call it like Medusa, or I call it where it's trapping you, right? There's something there, but in reality, it really isn't. It's seducing you to get into the market. Like there could be a clear, obvious setup, but if the profile and the things, the factors that are surrounding it are telling you it's low probability, then it's telling you it's probably not going to work. There's times, yes, where I'll take an obvious setup in a low probability day, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's very much like Medusa. It's trapping you to think that something's there. We talked about this yesterday on Monday and Tuesday when it was consolidating. There was a lot of entry patterns, quote unquote, that somebody could see. But if you're inside of an environment that's already profiled as low probability, then it's not going to work. It's just printing time. It means nothing. It's meaningless. But a lot of you get seduced into that because you see the entry pattern, you see the fair value gap, you see whatever it is. But reality, the factors around it are signaling to you it's low probability. It means nothing. Exactly, Abraham. If I wasn't live streaming, I wouldn't be trading today. I would be asleep. I want to be asleep. I want to be in my bed asleep. I had a terrible night of rest, but I want to be able to do these for a period of time to be able to be consistent with it all. And if I'm able to sit through a live environment like this, if you're not experienced enough, I mean, how should I put this? I think it's very good to sit during a session like this, and if you're able to make it out without taking a trade, it's building such resilience. It's building such patience within you. But if you don't have enough willpower, you don't have enough experience, where you just, like you said, like you're an addict, you just can't get enough of it. If you're sitting in front of the chart, you have to press a button, you have to do something. I mean, then just stay away from it. But I don't feel those urges anymore. I don't feel like I have to enter into price. So as we drop off lower in here, it's So it's really meaningless. I mean, where would you have entered in a price? Would you like to be inside of this? Particularly for me, no. And I think going back on Abraham, your question there, just thinking about it, tape reading is huge. That's why ICT talks about it, because if you're able to sit and tape read and there's just no emotions attached to price, when you move into a live account, when things are moving, you're not attached to it because you've sat through a lot of conditions where you've been able to tape read. Like in these conditions, all I'm doing is really tape reading. I'm just marking out certain areas. There's really no like hardline projections or predictions. I'm just kind of looking at it going, all right, well, it could go to here to there. If it does, awesome, cool. But there's no emotions behind it. When I'm in a session where I see that the odds are in my favor, the probabilities are lining up, the day's clean, everything's in line, then yeah, I'm really trying to pick a shot. PUMX, appreciate it. Do I have a favorite daily profile I like to trade? No. I mean, yeah, there's really no profile. I can trade in almost any profile besides consolidation. Like whether it's reversal type of day, trending day, I mean, it's really, there's not that many profiles. There's only a couple. So how old am I? I'm 24. I'll be 25 in 2 months. Crazy Eddie, yeah. I don't want to mention it because last time I mentioned it, couldn't get to 1,000. It's like a bunch of people dropped off. If we can get to 1,000, I would hit finally a milestone, but we'll see. I saw you on Twitter, you're on T. No, I'm all natural. Only thing I take is creatine. I've been lifting for like 10 years now. Only time I take testosterone is like when I get in like 40, 50, I start dropping in testosterone. But I'm in like the peak of my youth. I mean, 24, 25, dude. If you're anything like me at my age, dude, you should be like an animal. You should be training every single day. You should look like a Greek god. I don't know how people trade and they don't work out. I'd go fucking mentally insane. Excuse my language. But working out is the number one thing I've always done throughout all the losses, throughout all the pain, throughout every single blown account. All I did was I just went to the gym immediately. It doesn't solve your trading issues, but if you're able to take that out in a positive way, where you're putting it into, a positive emotion, like working out. I mean, people ask me, how are you in such good shape? Because I trade. Like, it's the only therapeutic thing I can do for myself, especially on a losing day. I'm pissed off at myself. Like, it's the only thing that I can go do that is not damaging. It's not negative. It's something positive. Like, I recommend it to everybody. It's the reason why I talk about it, because in terms of mentality, your body and your mental are linked together. If you have a strong body, you're jacked, you're huge, you're going to have a strong mentality. And that goes directly back into trading. Like when you talk about discipline, well, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're outside of life, outside of trading, you're sloppy in all other areas of your life. You don't have your shit together. You're fat, your diet's off, your relationships are off, everything else, finances, it's all sloppy. Well, how do you expect you're going to trade? How do you expect to go into a market where it's highly manipulated? You're on a performance-based profession. That's what we are. We're athletes. So I have to be willing to have everything in line, everything in order when I go into the session. I'm going to war. When I look at these charts, I'm not coming at this from an angered state, but I'm going in, I'm strapping on my helmet, I'm strapping on my gear. When I go into a session, I understand, all right, well, I'm going to war. Not with the markets, I'm going to war with myself. I'm going to war with all the demons, all the flaws that I've fought with. I understand how easily I could just go into this market, start tilting, start revenge trading, trying to trade all this slop in here. I've done it. I've done all of it before. I don't need to do it to learn my lesson. It's like a kid, you know? you keep touching the hot stove. I mean, how many times are you gonna touch that hot stove till you learn your freaking lesson, man? I mean, nobody's ever gonna stop you from doing it. You could keep touching that hot stove over and over and over again until you just burn your damn hand off. I mean, at one point you have to learn your lesson. Say, you know what, man, I'm done doing this. Where am I getting with this? I'm just pedaling backwards. I'm doing nothing. And that's the point that I came to. And you have to work on it. Like your life depends on it. You have to work on your flaws. Everything. I mean, if you didn't get any gems right there, I mean, I would just leave the stream, man. I mean, if somebody just told me what I just heard right there, I don't know what you're doing. And a lot of people are in here for signals, and they're looking for something to engage with. They're looking for a bias. I'm not the mentor for you. I'm not the right person. Just leave the stream. I don't know what's going on with this chart. Hopefully y'all are still with me. I don't know what's going on with this side of the chart. Still here? I don't know what's going on over here. I've never seen that. Sound like ICT sometimes. Yeah, I mean, if you spend enough time with them, it's probably just all regurgitated stuff. I mean, my own little spin on it, but I know some people are asking about my weight and bench. I've answered that before. I don't really care about strength or anything. I mean, max I've ever done on bench was 325, and I mean, I'm 215. You're all still here, right? I don't know what's going on with this. I'm scared to change this one. Can somebody answer Kano's question, please? I think this is frozen. Let me, give me a second. As long as y'all are still here, then I know it's probably just my TradingView platform. So I'm just gonna shut down TradingView for a second. So my other platform's still working. There we go. Alright, I'll put the charts back on, don't worry. There. Yeah, it's all good now. I have the app. I don't have the like I don't go on like Safari or whatever. I have the app that's downloaded. So here. Price is just not moving. I mean, reality, no, it isn't. So look at, I want you to study ES right now, and I want you to study NQ. Look at where ES is trading compared to NQ. It's making a new high, while NQ has made a new low. That's pretty severely decoupled currently, and you kind of have SMT on both sides. So which one is true? One of them is true. One of them is simply lagging behind the other. So either NQ is going to move higher alongside ES, or ES is going to now drop lower and move in sync with NQ. One of them will be true, but when you're in a decoupled market, to me it just means to sit still. Don't do anything. I don't feel pressured to do anything. I mean, would you want to be a part of today? We talked about this last week on Monday and Tuesday. I just don't see, if I was in a business and I had to invest money into something like food or entertainment, whatever it is, to me this is not a wise investment. This is not a good asset to invest my money into. This type of price action. What's the point of fighting for this little movement? There just isn't, right? So, and that's okay. I don't feel any type of emotion about it. I expected it. I anticipated it. And that's that. What core concept month? To be honest with you, I haven't watched that in probably 2-3 years. I don't really remember. Core content is just a dictionary. It's just something for you to understand the language. That's all it is. But if you don't know how to utilize it, then it's useless. That's a good question, Joel. What's the difference between decoupled PA and SMT? Well, SMT is going to have a small, how should I put it? It'll have a small decoupled moment where one of the asset classes is doing something a little bit different than the other ones. It's just a small little crack. But decoupled is when they're all oppositely trading the other way from each other. When they're all just doing something completely different, like let's say ES is going higher. Look at the morning session. ES is going higher. NQ is moving lower, and YM was moving higher. Those are all decoupled. That's doing something completely different than each other. You're going to see it. It'll be very wide, very distinguished when you're in a decoupled market. Exactly, Jillian. I mean, I would not be proud of myself if I sat here and tried to trade this. This is, to me, time distortion. It's simply marking out time. That's all it's doing. So when I talk about this means nothing to me, like I used that quote a lot last week, it means nothing to me. What I'm saying is it's not doing anything in here that would be significantly worth noting. It's just simply marking out time, and that's all it is. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have seen this as this goes back, I believe, Abraham, you had a question about, I could see how somebody could see this as a shorting opportunity. They see it for value gap, they see relative equal lows. Okay, let me go short in here, let me just try to tag the relative equal lows. Well, if you're in an environment that is already profiled as low probability, no matter what entry pattern is there, it's not going to work because you're already in a low probability environment. Please check plus breaker in 1 minute. This is the same thing I just stated. Whatever is happening in here, it means nothing to me. Because Nathan, I stick with one asset class. I don't need to be trading all the time. I don't need to be doing something all the time. It's cool if that's your style. I'm not hating on it. But I think the more times, it's like a crack addict to me. When people state that, it's like, well, if my asset class is not doing anything today, let me just find something that's moving. I got to do something, man. Like, if I'm sitting down, I'm putting my time into this shit. Well, I got to do something, right? I got to make some money. Well, who says they're going to make any money? Just going into an asset class and trading it just because yours isn't. Again, the more times you're in the market, more times you risk your capital inside of a market, you're at risk to lose. I'm so weary of losing, it's crazy. I'm so overly confident on the idea that most of the time, if I even try to press in the market, I'll probably lose. I'm so cautious of it. But ironically, when you're cautious like that, it's going to help you. It's going to help you actually win. So as we move higher here, see how ES, I told you one of them was lagging behind it. One of them was going to move in sync with the others, and whether that was going to be ES or whether that was going to be NQ. So now ES is moving higher and NQ is moving in sync with it. So in reality, there was just a bearish or a bullish SMT, and NQ is lagging behind it. So now it's starting to gravitate higher. Not that I would have done anything in here regardless. I mean, there's nothing that I would have done. And that's just really what tape reading is. You're just studying price, you're seeing how it trades, what is it doing, and that's it. There's no emotion, I don't have any connection towards it. That's cool, Tom. Yeah, I mean, again, my style is I stick with one asset class. I mean, I'll maybe dabble in ES, but that's really correlated with NQ. So, to me, I look at it as a significant partner. I don't really cheat. Like, and that's all personal. Trading is a personalized experience. I can only give my personalized experience and what works for me. Nico. You see what I'm doing is I'm constantly referring back to higher time frames, especially when price moves in a significant manner. I'm trying to look, okay, what does the 4-hour daily look like, 1 hour? If you get stuck on this 1 minute, it's not good. I mean, this is the same question, Silent Gamer, that I had last week. This is the, I'm not trying to spread any judgment to your comment, but this, to me, it just screams a lack of patience between you. I mean, the comeback I would have to that is, look at the last 2 months I've traded. They've all been profitable. I've had one losing week. I've taken minimal amount of trades because that's the way I trade. So I'm not going to sit here and try to justify myself to you. But if you don't like the style, I mean, just quietly exit out of the stream. There's 800 people watching me for a particular reason. But even back to that question, I mean, what would you like me to do in this condition? What would be what would be favorable to do today? What would be an awesome idea to do today? I mean, I don't. The question just is so whack. Again, I empathize with it because it's probably a newer trader, somebody that has no experience, and they expect through social media that you should be trading every single day. And that's just not well, Silent, I mean, where would I have entered? Just because there's SMT doesn't mean that I should be buying. Where's the entry pattern? Where would I enter into price? Nor do I find it a favorable time to trade. Again, you're not sitting through multiple streams with me. I mean, look at last week, look at the week before. I mean, when you say I don't do anything, I'm doing something. Again, I'm not gonna justify myself. It's just worthless. Sam, no, I don't. I don't have to be respectful at all. It's exactly, Nico. I get assistance. I don't. I probably do at times, but you entered at the inversion. Do you consider my trade low probability? Me personally, I wouldn't have done it. But again, it's all personal. This goes back to the main point of what we were just talking about. It's all personalized. It's always on you. What you personally find works for you. I wouldn't do it, but that's me. CJ, you have that 1 minute bullish for value gap cutting through the candles. Yeah, I mean, you can extend out inefficiencies, especially like this one, to help you utilize it. It's more or less time and experience to know which ones to utilize. Evelyn, thank you. I know. I know you silently watch these. I know there's a lot of people that do. That's cool. And I'm not going to get upset over a 1% person. It's fine. Of course, Trey. Yeah, that's a factor, Joseph. If you look at that whole run in here, is there any inefficiencies in basically end of that prior run? No, that's the only one that sticks out to me. That's pretty obvious. Yeah, Tom. Again, I'm thankful for the people that see it. I mean, do you listen to music? Yep. I posted in the chat what I'm listening to right now. I'm listening to music. Thank you. Looks like we hit 9K. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Cool. Terry, Silver Bullet. So 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. New York Central Time or Eastern Time, whatever. UTC 5. Uh, Probably Model 13, Model 2022. Jabbers, what do you think of waiting for a strong candle reaction off of the FEG and then entering instead of setting a limit? No, I would always enter inside of the inefficiency. You have to be willing to enter when prices move. Like if you're buying, you have to be comfortable with the idea. When price is dropping, you have to be comfortable enough to be buying inside of that down close candle. Vice versa for selling. Any tips for funded account? Just reduce your risk. And again, it goes back to the same question. I mean, when people hate on my style, I mean, do I get offended? Not really. I do it. I at least try to counter it because I don't want anybody else to be deceived by it. But when I get those type of questions, I mean, the only thing I can really counter it with is just look at my track record, look at my profitability. I mean, it speaks for itself. I don't have to, you know, defend myself. The money does it for me, really. And the reason I state that too is for all of you who you want to be on social media. I mean, I would probably advise against it because as soon as you let people try to critique your style that's working for you, you may believe it. Like I could let comments persuade me into believing right now that being patient and not doing anything, that's a bad thing. I should be doing something. But my experience tells me to sit still and not doing anything. I mean, all those people comments, they don't pay your bank account. They don't pay your funded account, whatever it is. So you have to be really, really trustworthy of your own decisions. You have to be confident enough if you want to be on social media. AJ, awesome. Have a good rest of your day, brother. Billy, love you, G. Appreciate that. Julian, yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't even think back testing. I think forward testing. I mean, I have 6 years of doing this. I know what works for me. I know personally how I trade. So you just have to be willing to trust it. Yeah, Tom. I mean, it may sound corny. I mean, I generally, obviously, there is I'm transparent. There is a business side of this that obviously I'm going to do. But besides that, I mean, helping people, it's an awesome feeling. I get a lot of joy and satisfaction out of helping somebody, especially if, it's through my own struggles and things that I could just give to somebody to help them avoid that pain, man. It's not fun. Um, bu- 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 Range giveaway, best to reach. Yeah, I've done a giveaway before. It actually really didn't do much. Yeah, and Tanya has the vast majority of YouTube, viewers, and there's no hate to her. It's awesome. I just know with somebody like that, it's hard to grow. What days do you consider low probability? Mondays can be lower probability. Um, just depends. Harris, appreciate you. I'll see you later. You only trade silver bullet AM PM sessions because of manipulation. I mean, I only really mainly trade the AM silver bullet. Yeah, it is. It is. Just you gotta focus on the good. I mean, without social media, would anybody know what these concepts were? No. So there's always good and bad. There's pros and cons. But without social media, without the things that we have and fortunate enough to have, I mean, ICT wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have learned any of this. The only way that would have happened is if I somehow met him in person. He somehow decided to teach me, or all of us. So it really does have powerful goods to it. Daniel, I'm not going to answer that question. That's completely up to you and your judgment. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Man, you awesome. Glad to have you here. How do you balance work and trading? I mean, it's a really good question. Find a job if you can, and it depends on your finances and the things that you have, going. But if you could find a job that can be after, especially trading the AM session, I would prefer that. Um, that's what I'd recommend to all of you. Obviously, everybody's different. I mean, everybody has different things going on in their life and different times when they found trading, so you have to be willing to work around it. I mean, if you can't trade the AM session, then try to trade the PM. If you can't trade PM, if you have to trade London Silver Bullet, then do that. But you got to make one of them work. And if those styles intraday don't work for you, you have to elect to do swing trading. No, I don't think so. I don't. No. Again, that question, I also had the same question, so I resonate with it, and a lot of people ask me the same question. He asked, do you think the population of the concepts will make changes on the algorithm? From a perspective, that's too much people doing the same thing. No, because, again, I believe even with these concepts, only 1% of people are even going to be profitable with them, because this comes down to discipline. This comes down to psychology, being willing to be able to manage yourself. I mean, think about how many people in the chat I already said have entered into positions, they're doing things. I mean, everybody's so different, and there's so many different ways to trade these concepts. I mean, we can both trade different models, different things the same day, different directions, and still be profitable. But I think with the majority of people, I don't want to discourage anybody. I encourage everybody to obviously pursue this, but I think only a small percentage, even with these concepts, are ever going to make it out. I mean, it takes a long time. It takes a lot of discipline. So, I mean, yes, Robbie. I have to work weekends, allow me doing this. And that's all right, Tom. I mean, if you're burning all the boats, I mean, there's a great analogy where I don't know if this is a true story or not, but I believe there was a commander, I believe they're Vikings, and they invaded a different nation, a different island, and they were outnumbered. And their commander commanded them to burn their boats, so they had no other resort, they had no other way of retreating, they had no way of backing out, no plan B. And from there, they ended up obviously winning the battle, and they took over whatever the nation and island. And really, what that's stating is, if you don't have a plan B, if you don't give yourself an out, and you force yourself to do this, I mean, you're probably going to make it. I mean, I didn't have a plan B. I dropped out of college. I didn't have a different option, so I had to make this work for myself. But if you have an out, you have a different, easy way out. When things get hard, when things get rough, I mean, you're just going to immediately opt out of it. What do you mean by a lot of discipline? Well, you have to be willing to manage yourself. You have to be willing to manage your emotions, be willing to manage your money. I mean, discipline is huge. I'm not doing anything today. I don't even care if this thing flies off the railing 100 million handles. I don't care. And I know, again, this goes back to the comment, like, I'm not doing anything. Well, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. Was it? Okay. Like I said, I don't know this full story. I actually heard that in high school during when I was playing football. We were facing a team that we haven't beaten in like 20 years, and then we ended up beating them. I think that's even such a great statement, Nico. I mean, Why do you care? What would that mean to you? To me, it means nothing, because guess what? I know every single day, for the most part, this is just a general statement, every day that there's probably an entry, there's something I could probably be a part of. Doesn't mean I have to be a part of it, but I know tomorrow nothing's going to change. It's still going to be here. Next week it's still going to be here. The next month, the next year, 10 years from now, market's still going to be here. Like, I think that's a great thing, dude. Like, you should probably work on that, because if this thing moved 1 million handles, I generally couldn't care. I generally wouldn't. And I'm not saying that just for the sake of the stream. Like, I generally wouldn't, because I've reached a point of understanding that these things repeat every single day. Robbie, that's alright. I mean, dude, I went through 4 years of pain and suffering. I went through 2 years of not even trading these concepts before I found ICT, so. Out of here, alright. Bye, go, what's up? Yeah, obviously, if it moved up a million handles, it would affect the market and affect the economy, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's just an analogy. If you extend your time zone after, I mean, I'll look at the end of the AM silver bullet macro, so 11:10. By then, I'm done. How can I get to 2 to 4,000? I mean, that's up to you, man. I can't really give you advice on that. It's how you want to manage it, your style. Whatever can get you to that threshold, then yeah. Yeah, exactly right. That's such a thing. Like, if it moved a million handles, I wouldn't even be a part of the whole thing. I'd probably be a part of less than 1% of it. So, do you like Apex? No. And we live stream Thursday and Friday? Yes. Say less. That's a good question. I believe I talked with the owner. He said like last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks from here. Fun question. Have you ever seen a limit up or limit down day? I don't know what that means, Nico. What advice would you give your younger self in the stages of your starting journey? Would you do something different? Yeah, I would. I'd focus on one multiplier, meaning I would focus on, like, let's say I'm only trading the fair value gap. That's the only thing I'm entering off of. If it's the order block, the breaker, mitigation block, whatever meets your eye, whatever works best with you, I'd do that. And I'd set myself to one time zone, one asset class. So to me, it would be the silver bullet AM session, what we're in right now. I'd only be trading the fair value gap. I'd only be trading NQ, and I'd only be taking one trade. If you can do that, you're going to find consistency. Because if you're only able to take one trade a day, the max loss you could have in a week is 5. I'm exhausted. So that's the end of the AM Silver Bullet. Of course, we can still extend it 10 minutes out. But overall, I mean, what I know some people are looking at this, they're trying to go long. Just none of it is high probability to me. I don't want to be inside of this. I don't want to participate in it. I don't want to spend mental capital in it. It's just no reason. The investment is not worth the risk. To you, it may look like it, but to me, no. FOMC is, I don't think it's this week, brother. No, FOMC is not this week. What up, Wazy? Nico, it's pretty unclear. I don't. Limit down days when price rockets down to the max amount if it's allowed to. Let's say 2,000 handles in one candle. I don't know if you're just talking about daily range, like how much it's allowed to trade. Fly Fitcher? Yeah, I mean, oh, wait. Are you the guy on Twitter? You have a different profile picture. I'm not sure. The only reason I asked that is because I appreciate all your comments. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Friday, Friday had a large expansion. We roll into a Monday after a large range day. What does that tell you? Typically, the next following day is going to be consolidation, not much movement. We have no economic news driver events. So, and if you look at the daily profile, the weekly, there's really no clear one-sided direction. There's still things that I think need to be set up. So, I'm already anticipating that I'm not going to be trading today. Like, all you need is one day a week to trade. I don't care what anybody else says, your opinion on it. That's my personal view. Especially as a newer student, I think you're going to have a lot harder time trying to participate in every single day. People are trying to go long in here. They're trying to go short. They're trying to do anything, man. Just worming their way around. It's just, to me, it's just not high probability to do so. Ionis, do you have any advice on how to handle the mental side of things when dealing with a lot of money, 6 to 7 figures? To be honest with you, I mean, this is just personal experience. I've never been connected to the amount of money. I don't know why. It never has been an issue with me. And the reason for that is because I'm always looking at things in terms of percentage. Like, when I'm in a trade, I'm never looking at the dollar amount. I'm looking at the trade idea. I'm looking at, is it moving towards my target? Is it not? I mean, if I lose 0.5%, like even if that's $5,000, it's still 0.5%. I'm looking at the account in terms of percentages. I'm never looking at it in terms of money. Thanks for live streaming today. Learned some new things that I'm taking into consideration. How long do you think you're going to be live streaming? I don't know. I've been debating heavily even over the weekend how long I'm going to keep doing this. I really don't know. Green Shift. Yep, Mental Game and Trading by Jared Tindler. Yeah, Ravi. I mean, you have to also understand there's so many people chatting. Like sometimes like I'll miss your chat if I'm focused. I mean, it is difficult. But hopefully I try my best to answer people's questions. Why though, great stream? I mean, I'd be moving into a private setting. Like, to be honest with you all, like I want to get paid for this. Like, not getting paid for this, it's it's what I set out and intended to do. But I'd be a lot more motivated to do this if I was getting paid. I don't have to do any of this. But to be honest, I'm trying to change the industry. I'm trying to change the community. Because if I'm able to sit here for 2.5, 3 months, do this live, trade in front of all of you, do it profitably, show a track record, then now the next people that sell something, they have to match that. And if they don't, then they have to compare themselves to me. The audience would have to compare themselves and be like, well, this guy did this. Why aren't you doing it? And that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change this whole industry. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do that. But if I can make some small impact, make some small good change in it, that's good enough for me. I mean, nobody else has done this. Everybody that sells something has never done a live stream for consistently for months on end, showing a track record with it. So I'm taking the hard way around it. I didn't have to do any of this. I could have just shown you a track record and then just charged all of you. And if you don't even want to pay for it, then I gave you enough information for a long enough period to set you on your way. You have ads on the live stream though? Yeah. I mean, you don't make anything from YouTube. I want you to know that. Over the last 2 months, I've made under $400. And that's off of live streaming 2 hours a day. That's off of posting a video every single day. I mean, it's nothing. Jabbers, exactly. You're learning. You're understanding what I'm doing. Like, trading is extremely boring. It is. There's days where it's easy and it's fun, but days like today, it's really boring. It's watching paint dry. This is where days I would already know if I was by myself, I wasn't live streaming, I wouldn't even be looking at the chart. I'd be asleep. What if Tanya started to sell something? Would it be valid? I mean, that's up to the audience to view. I mean, picking a fair value gap that's valid, that depends on the criteria that surrounds it. A fair value gap alone doesn't mean anything, but you have to have certain things that surround it. The bias, the narrative for the day, intermarket relationships, the time. There's a lot of different things that meet the eye that create high probability PD arrays or not. Andreas, I think you know what I think of it. I know you're trying to pry at me, but yeah, I mean, that's the end of the silver bullet macro. Do you see anything in here today that, man, like, do you feel guilty for not participating? Do you feel upset that you didn't participate in it? No. At least me, I'm very happy I didn't do anything. These type of days are protecting you. They're making you money. Even though you're not doing anything, it feels like, man, like, you know, I'm not doing anything. What am I doing here? I'm wasting time, but you're not. Obviously, as you get more experience, you can predict days like this, and you're not even going to have to sit through a live session like this. But to me, it's awesome. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting mental capital. I'm making money doing this. Number one thing is I'm guarding my money. Ravi, I mean, I'm not going to create that. Like, it's going to be in a private setting where you guys can all engage with each other. Unfortunately, I just don't want to manage that right now. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, again, there's going to be days where you see a trade set up that you don't take. I'm referring to Silent Gamer, but you take a trade setup that you don't see high probability, and then I take it, and then what? I'm going to come to your stream and tell you that you're stupid for not taking it. I mean, again, it's a personalized experience. I'm not trying to. I'm just stating, like, this is how trading is. When you look at other people on social media, don't ever feel guilt if you sat out of a trade and you didn't like it. It's your personalized experience. I know it works for me, and that's where trust and patience comes in. I trust myself. CJ ever thought about a face cam? Yeah, I just don't think it's important. I mean, I'm sure it would. I know it would, but I just. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. I'm pretty tired here. I'm gonna probably log off and go to the gym, do something else. Yeah. If you have any more questions, I'll answer like one more question. Regardless of news, do you wait till 10 a.m. or would you take a trade at 9:45? Yeah, I always wait for the news event drivers to play out, and I always wait for the silver bullet. I'm always consistent with it. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today. I appreciate all you guys being here. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, 15 minutes before the open. So until then, peace.